Okay, Nick, big game at Craven Cottage this Sunday. Fulham against Liverpool. I'll be there for PST. Really excited for that. Always love going to the Cottage. It is the American spiritual home on US soil when it comes to soccer. Just a brilliant stadium, and this should be a really good game, I think, because Fulham are fun to watch on their day. A lot of good attacking players, very inconsistent. You never quite know what you're going to get from them. But Liverpool at the moment, we know that they're in a bit of a rut, in a bit of a funk. Jurgen Klopp is quite surprised by it. I think we all are really seeing that defeat at home against Crystal Palace last weekend. But what are your thoughts on this one? Because, as I said, Fulham are a funny team, but Liverpool, I guess, were quite consistent against Crystal Palace in terms of the second half, created a lot of chances, just wasn't their day. That happens. So like Arsenal in the title race, they have to prove that was just a blip and a one-off, and then they're back on track. And, you know, if they win, Arsenal slip up or whatever, they can go to the top of the Premier League table. So all is not lost in Liverpool's pursuit of a Premier League title.
No, not at all. This is a team that is capable of outperforming anyone. They have outperformed themselves, to be honest with you, from time to time. We talked about the good vibes and the Klopp goodbye tour and all of that, but they have at times defied XG. They've defied the, other advanced stats. And I look at them, however, as a team that has, as weird as this sounds, as we love numbers, they deserved it. They've outworked their limitations in a lot of cases. And the Palace loss to me is very, very, very similar to what we saw in the Champions League with Man City and Real Madrid. Obviously a different level of opponent between Palace and Real Madrid. But I think if you're Jurgen Klopp, who was clearly ticked off that they didn't take their chances against Palace, it's an easy framing. It's a look, guys, we're still right here. We're still not where we want to be, but in a decent position. So let's just go keep being ourselves. And that's why I love Pep Guardiola and why I love what Klopp's been for most of the past few years, which is let's talk about the performance. Sometimes you're good enough and you don't get the goals. Sometimes you're run into a great keeper. Dean Henderson was good in that Palace game. And so this to me is, if Jurgen Klopp is who we think he is, and there's a huge sample size here, I imagine the bounce back is there. It's just a matter of, like you mentioned, Fulham are unpredictable. There are so many good players on that team, and it's just a collection of solid guys who know each other right now.
Yeah, it's very true. When you talk about Klopp and Liverpool there, you're spot on when it comes to, all right, that can happen. That's weird. Let's just basically go out there and play exactly the same, and we could be 3 up at half time. And that's just the way it's going right now. But I think they're playing with house money. No one expected Liverpool to be in the title race this season. They're already Champions League is a given, so they're totally fine in terms of their trajectory and where they're going as a club. With or without Klopp obviously leaving, that's a big deal. But they're in a very, very good position, and most people didn't expect them to be in it this season. So I feel like Liverpool almost have to play with the pressure off now. Maybe in the last few weeks, the pressure was back on a little bit because it seemed more likely that was going to happen. And I just feel like they need to go back to just being a bit more relaxed and free. And you're right, Jurgen Klopp as a man manager, I feel like he can get that out of them and this group of players in particular ahead of this weekend. Fulham, we mentioned it there. When they're in the groove, they're fun to watch, but they've had some horrid results as well. I think Nottingham Forest away recently. So they are a mixed bag this season. That they've secured their spot in the Premier League. They're not going to go down. Very comfortable mid-table. I mean, Anthony Robinson, excellent. Iwobi's been great. Muniz up top has been a real find. Andreas Pereira, again, a couple of goals last weekend. Is there a sense of an upset here? Because again, said it, Fulham aren't going down, not going to qualify for Europe. They're just very, very comfortable mid-table. Kind of a dangerous side to play against at this stage of the season for Liverpool.
I think they're a wild card. I don't know, especially at this point in the season. If you thought they were unpredictable before, they're not. The European run is not going to happen. It looked for a while like it might, but it's not going to happen. So at this stage in the season, it's like when you were going over Arsenal's schedule. Sometimes I don't even look at the opponents in terms of their quality. I look at their opponents in what they're playing for. And so is Fulham able to rally the spirit that Liverpool is going to definitely bring? And again, going back to Klopp, the competition he's bred within the squad is such that anybody who goes out there feels duty bound to show up. And, just the biggest difference for Liverpool and the biggest difference for City in, again, to reference the Champions League and Arsenal, the Champions League, is your stars are going to always be fine. Mo Salah this year has been good. For the last month, it just, the final piece hasn't been there with him. You're still going to fireworks, but you're not getting the grand finale. I don't know if they call it that overseas, but that, to me, that's been the difference. It's Haaland didn't do anything magical. Saka didn't do anything magical. And Salah lately hasn't done anything magical. And I feel like that's just coming with him, but is probably the difference. And I kind of expect him to be the difference in this game.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And I think if you look at Liverpool's remaining schedule after this, obviously Everton away in midweek, West Ham away, Tottenham at home, Aston Villa away, and then Wolves at home on the final day. I mean, some tough games there, some really tough games. And I think out of the 3 title contenders, Man City have the easiest remaining schedule when you look at it now. And Arsenal, probably the toughest, and then Liverpool. But I don't know. There still seems like there's a couple of twists and turns in this, and I fully expect Liverpool to take care of business this weekend. So my score prediction, Nick, I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Liverpool. Feels about right. I think Fulham will be in it. Again, because they don't really have anything to play for, they'll chuck a lot of bodies forward if it's level in the second half and go for the win. But I think this Liverpool team now, I think just hit the reset button. After that Palace game, it's a one-off. That's what they'll be saying. And I think it was a one-off. And I think they will push Man City all the way for the title this season with the Klopp factor as well. Let's not forget that, because we talked about that a lot. And I think that group of players, there's enough guys there that have been with him throughout the majority of his time at Anfield. And don't rule that out. Just please don't discount that. What about your score prediction for this one?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the exact same thing. I expect Liverpool to produce goals, but it's been quite a week for them, and there's a lot of effort that will have been expounded on Thursday. So, let's say 3-1. I just think it might be a bit sloppier than we're used to.
Yeah, Craven Cottage. By the way, did you see the new renderings for the new stand at Craven Cottage where they got a swimming pool up high on that stand? I'm
assuming a heated one.
I would hope so, because it's lovely in the summertime by the banks of the River Thames, but for most of the year it is not. So, maybe that's where they put the press box in the years to come and just have a little dip in between at halftime. Maybe, I don't know.
Great for you. Maybe, maybe they'll put a little poolside desk for you in an infinity pool. Yeah.
I think I need to speak to someone at the Fulham's communication and media department about this. Anyway, head over to Pro Soccer Talk on NBCSports.com. Fulham against Liverpool at Craven Cottage this Sunday. I'll be there on site, not in the swimming pool, definitely in the press box. And you can watch the game across all our platforms on NBC Sports. Video highlights, analysis, reaction. We'll have you covered. It's a big one as Liverpool try and get their Premier League title hopes back on track.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.